Well, we've got a massive delivery. Really excited about this project, but I've got to get it back up onto the plot. We'll see you up the plot.
Hi, we're Ian and Julie. Follow us on our tiny homestead and our debt-free project of a lifetime, the building of our home here in the Pyrenees, and all of this alongside our full-time jobs.
Hopefully it'll come out as easy as it went in. That white one, my goodness.
Oh!
Even with two of us, there's absolutely zero chance we could pick that up. Hi, good morning and welcome back to the channel. Myself, Ian, and my wife Julie are building our off-grid homestead here in the French Pyrenees. We started off with our workshop and that is near enough 99% complete, and now we are going on to the building of the house foundations and all of the retaining walls. But today it is still raining, so that means it's a perfect opportunity to get indoors, out of the weather, and start work on the upgrade of our solar system here. Now, we started off in this garage with just this 1 kilowatt EcoFlow, and that ran off one single panel. It worked fine. It ran the alarm, it ran the cameras, but when we come up here to do proper work with the tools, the power saw, the cement mixer, all of that stuff, it just doesn't cut it. So then we had the opportunity to get a couple of extra Pylon Tech batteries, which are these here, 2.4 kilowatt hours. These are the units I use at my current property, and I've been using those for about 3 or 4 years now, alongside a SoFar Solar hybrid 6 kilowatt inverter. It's not 100% off-grid compliant. It should be grid tied, and so I'm using the EPS, the emergency power system here, and that is limited to 3 kilowatt, even though this is a 6 kilowatt unit. So when I start using my big power tools, I just keep getting it shut down. It just shuts down, and I have to wait the 30 seconds odd, and then it comes back up again. So when I was installing this and showing all my problems, one of our subscribers, a guy called Ben, he owns a company that manufactures and sells batteries, solar batteries. Their company is called Fogstar, and they approached us to say, look, we want to help you out. We've seen the struggle you've had, and we think we can provide a much better system for you. Not only the battery, they have sourced us an off-grid compliant inverter, and I am so over the moon with that. I'm shocked, basically. We can't believe it. So we're so happy to be working alongside Fogstar. Fogstar is a UK company based out of Redditch, which is in Worcestershire, sort of in the Midlands, and they manufacture and sell batteries. The first part of the project is basically to get back to basics, get back on to this EcoFlow here, just to get us some power so we've got lights so we can see what we can do. And then I'm going to strip all of this out, take the batteries and everything back to our current property because I can utilize those there, and I'm hoping that this system works perfectly, and we can also start thinking about using it in the new house build as well, so I can design my tech room over in the house to accommodate more of the Fogstar batteries and go from there. So I've just turned off my main breaker, put that across so I can't turn it back on. So that has cut all power from my solar system to my main board. and all I've done is plug the output of the EcoFlow into one of the sockets. It's purely going to be running lights. It's just a temporary power solution. So next stage is to dismantle all of this system here. So all gone, pretty easy, just the plate on the side here, and it all came off pretty neat. And I've looked up at the connections of the new SunSynk inverter, and most of the connections are sort of in the same order, so hopefully it should go on all right. Let's get this open. Crikey me, this is the next level. So we have the wheels and the stands, but look at the size of this unit. Let's see if I can lift this up. Oh my God. There we go. My goodness, that was pretty heavy. Well, it looks quite unassuming from the front, but there's full access around the back. As I said, when I go through the installation, I'll go through all of these connections, buttons, all of that stuff. I will go through it because I'm going to learn on this video how to install this, and hopefully show you how to install it pretty easily. I'm just going to do a couple of packers, 74.5. These are just a bit of OSB packing, just to get the wall flush with this little top bit here. I didn't film much of it, or basically any of it, but I've put the pink fireproof plasterboard top and bottom. Julie's just come with the paint, and we're just going to give it a quick lick of grey paint just to make it less pink, and then I'm going to put on some metal strips just to finish it all off. So that's 5 from the top, and then that's 9 down to the top of the plate. So what I haven't got is any decent studs in this location. Before I had multiple sort of holes I could get at least some fixings into. So what I've done, this only came with 4 holes on the back plate. I'll put another 2 in just to make sure. And I'm using these sort of, they're plasterboard sort of screws, but I've got OSB as well. So I've got plasterboard plus OSB. These are the biggest ones. Each one should hold, they say, 40 kilo. So I'm going to have 6 in there, and these compress behind, so that should be enough. Fingers crossed.
Man at work, biscuit, cup of coffee. He's a happy chappy.
I mean, one thing. These little bags of screws, diameter drill 11. Who the hell can find a diameter 11 millimeter? It's either 10 or 12, so...
I can answer that one. We can't, we've been everywhere.
I'm going to go and try and push these in. Right, they're all in. And now put the plate on and hopefully compress them to the back of the OSB.
definitely a heavy unit.
That was pretty heavy. Took a few turns just because I couldn't get my arm and hand in here. It is supposed to be a bigger gap, but I just don't have it. But it's all in or on the wall. So that allows me now to get all those connections, and they're near enough in line. So that's my load, although that doesn't look like it's going to be long enough now. They're just about, it's because it's really far from the wall. So compared to my other one, which were just here. So I'm hoping, oh dear, well, it's only one length of cable I've got to change out. But, oh, it looks all right there. Just going to take this panel off, but finding the right Allen key was a bit of a tough job. Yeah. Look at that. I am, what's that, 15 centimeters, 6 inches too short for my cable, so I'm going to have to replace that one. But I can use that one because this inverter has a generator input. So I'm hoping to get, I'll use that cable and stretch it across here, put a socket on the inside of the carport, so I can just wheel the generator into there, out of the weather, and charge my batteries from there. So that might work. But yeah, I've got to go and get some more cable. Got the cable, 3 meters, that should do. €5.25 a meter. Good morning, back on site. It is a chilly one. I've just had to empty all the water out because it's going to start freezing now for the next week, but no more rain. So I will be outside very shortly doing the block work and that retaining wall. But I really want to finish the solar system. So I've got the cable. I'm going to get that installed, get all that hooked up, and then I'll go through all the other individual connections between the inverter and the Fogstar battery. So I've got the cable through. Next is to take these glands off here. Now this inverter is designed to be fitted externally. So there's all of these waterproof, well yeah, I think I've got to cut that to get the cable in. Oh, there we go. They're all rubber and sealed, but this is installed inside, so not really any need for that. Alright, next stage, I'm going to connect my solar. So that is PV1. I'm probably only going to have one string anyway, similar to my other one. Come on. There we go. That's PV1. And PV2 I'll put at the back. Right, next stage is the two battery connections. I couldn't see which one was negative or positive. You have to look underneath, and there it is. There's a label just here. So I'll get those cables connected there through the conduit. I've just drilled a couple of holes there and a couple of holes there, so they'll come through the conduit to where the battery will be. Right. Take those out. It is there, so that will fit through that hole. There's one. There's these two at the back. Again with a waterproof Oh, where are they? Looks like these ones are moulded in, so I'll just cut out the rubber gasket. Right, get that one in there. Just loosely do him. Oh, he's nice and tight. There's a positive there. I'll get the bolt in. It's nice for this inverter that all the connections are actually internally in the inverter, where the so far one, all the connections were underneath. So if you've got a lack of space underneath, it's really hard to get into, where this, it's all on the face. So it's just a matter of getting the cables underneath, and then it's easy to install up here. So next connection is my CAN bus, and just in here it says BMS 485 CAN. There's that. So the Wi-Fi dongle comes in a separate little pack, so I'm just going to install that. Whoa! It's got a RS232 plug and there's a socket underneath, so I'm going to take off the little metal plate and just install this. Let's get this in. At least it's got the QR code on the outside. On the So Far Solar they had the QR code on the inside, so it was impossible to scan once it was installed. And this will give me Wi-Fi or internet access to the system. Right, so that's all the connections to the inverter. So now it's time to wheel in the Fogstar battery, 15.5 kilowatt hour battery. This is the fun bit. Very handy having it on wheels. Now, one thing I need to say, it did come or supplied with this wall mounting plate. It's a pretty hefty beast. These two pieces here can bolted onto the back of the battery, just here, and then it basically lifts up and slots in if this was on the wall. Now, I'm going to save this for the house build. So when I build the house, I will make a provision for the studs or some blocking behind, so it'll take this hefty. This is pretty hefty on its own. This unit here is 140 kilo, so the battery is very heavy. Now, I don't have sufficient studs in this wall to be able to cope. It probably would do, but I just don't want to take that risk. So it's on wheels, and just underneath it has the wheels to move about, but then it has adjustable feet just here. So once it's in the right position, I can get a spanner on these. It's got 4 of them, and I can secure this, lift it up from the wheels slightly, and get it nice and level on the ground. So that will be sufficient for me, and it will also aid me moving it about just in case, because we still have to do this floor just here. So that's where it's going to go. And Julie is here as well. It's quite funny actually, because in the manual on the first page it says, this is a heavy and easy to tip unit. This unit tips the scales at a whopping 140 kilogram and is slightly top heavy when in transit. Before setting it up, make sure children and furry friends are not nearby. So luckily yesterday I was on my own lifting this to get it onto its wheels, but yes, it is very heavy. Right, I just want to show you the connections on this Fogstar Energy 15.5 kilowatt hour battery, 48 volts. So I've got my positive connection and negative connections. Now there's 2 of each, because you can put these in parallel and basically have quite a few of these batteries in the system. And hopefully in the new house I will. I want to plan at least 3, possibly 4 of these in the house. So they're my battery connections. I have a DC breaker here. This will shut off anything that's coming out of these terminals here. I have the power button, which if I turn it on in a minute, the whole system will power up. And I have my communication ports here. Now the battery links, they will link to the other batteries in the system and talk to each other. One master, and then all the rest is slaved off it. I'm going to be connecting to this CAN port for the BMS. So this little rubber grommet I'll take out now. The address here to tell it which battery it is in the system. We only have the one, so it's number 1. The little switch here is for active balancer. Now, most of the time, all these cells will be fully balanced, but just in case, on the front screen, I'll show you in a minute, it has all the various cells and where they're at. But if any became unbalanced, you can turn this on and it will automatically balance them up again. So it says in the manual basically just to leave this off until required. So there are all the connections. There's hardly anything to it. So I'm going to whip it round. Once I've turned him on and got the system going, I'll go through the screen. So first thing first, I'm going to connect the earth. So the inverter is also earthed. And I'm using my existing earths that I had for my other system. So let's put that one in. So the next connection is the CAN bus. And when he's in place, I'll just put a couple of cable ties around that. Right, so I'm going to go take this one off and this one off. I'll just nip them up for now. So, in theory, that's all the connections, inverter and battery. So I'm just going to wheel him into where I think he's going to end up forever. This is probably the best bit of all of it, tearing the plastic off the screen. Oh. Right, let's turn him on. So there's a power button at the back. So I haven't got the big breaker on, just the power button. Fogstar energy, and it's charged 36%. So that's English Electric as well, because they must have charged it up in the UK. I said to Julie, it's a shame they didn't charge it right up to the 100%, but I told her it's probably too heavy to ship if it's fully charged, full of electricity.
Shh, don't tell them that.
And she believed me.
I did.
Right, so on the screen, again I've got to... Fogstar energy, stator charge 36%, battery voltage 52.731, and then it is a touch screen. So I've got the various, I've got to go through there are all the different cells and what they're currently at, so that if they're unbalanced then you use that auto balancing function. No error messages, all okay. Oh, this is lovely. There's a setup here, let's have a look. CAN, it's already selected to CAN. Pylon, Victron. There we go. Let's go back. Right, now time to fire up the inverter. Because I'm off grid, I don't have a grid connection to turn on the inverter, so it's got to take power from the battery. So I'm going to turn on the big DC breaker on the back. But first things first, before I start turning on the inverter, I just want to check the voltage is getting there. It's coming through these two big cables, so there we go, 53.2 volts. There. Right, okay. So let's turn him on. So little button on the side here. Let's click him on. Wait for the screen. So the next thing I'm going to do is actually turn on the solar, which is this switch here. So I've got one string, which is actually string 2. I've got my solar on. So now let's have a look. So here's the screen. It's a lot more complicated than the So Far Solar one, but string 2 is here. So I've got about 600 watts. 537 watts are going to charge the battery, and I've got 61 watts here of load. Now I haven't gone across to this system just yet, so I'm still on the battery generator. So the 60 odd watts must be the power that this actual inverter is using. So now I'm going to cut across to this system. So it's going to go dark, so I'm going to disconnect this battery generator, which is plugged into my wall socket, and then I'm going to turn on the main breaker here, and that will attach my main panel to the inverter. And turn on the breaker. Oh, look at that. We are now on the inverter. So all I've got on are my lights, which are 256 watts. So it looks like the solar goes into the battery, and then out of the battery comes the load, but whatever's left over goes to the charge. So I haven't got any grid, I haven't got any generator, and I don't know what the auxiliary, I'm gonna have to check up on that. But we are 100% off grid using the SunSynk and the Fogstar 15.5 kilowatt hour battery. Pretty chuffed. We are now fully off grid using the SunSynk inverter, 8 kilowatt inverter, and the Fogstar 15.5 kilowatt battery. And we've been running all night. It lost a bit of power because we haven't got any sun. It's the first day of sun, so it's now charging up quite nicely. But this went from 36% down to about 24 overnight, and that was with us making coffees and everything else. But the big test now is whether it will run all my power tools. Now, if you remember back, my the So Far Solar, which was running on the emergency power system, which had a maximum of 3 kilowatt, every time I used my chop saw, it would just cut out. Every time I had no chance at all with my my planer, that would just cut out, and I'd have to use the eco flows to run those. But I'm going to try it now, see whether the chop saw works. I haven't done it yet, and the planer, and see what happens. So here goes. So Far Solar, this tripped out on the first try. I'm going to just run him up. I'm pretty happy with that. That's with my Hoover and the chop saw. No problem at all. Right, the big test is going to be the planer. Right, this had no chance before. It didn't even try. It just shut the whole place down again. That's because using the load from this SunSynk, it's using the whole 8 kilowatt. So either from grid or from the battery, it'll cope with the power. And that's perfect. No more power surge problems. So I'm going to keep updating you on this system. Again, I'm so chuffed that Ben from Fogstar and Rebecca contacted us and offered this system for us. It's going to change the way we use all our tools in this workshop, and it's fantastic. So again, thank you to Fogstar for sending this equipment. The installation went very smoothly. It is plug and play. You don't have to do anything. I can now monitor it back from our other property as well, and the data logger, which is this little Wi-Fi dongle, that sends all the information of how much sun we've received, how much power, is it going to be cold, all the rest of it. Very standard application, but at least now I can monitor this off-grid plot from our current property. So we're going to be back outside in the next video, back on that retaining wall. The rain has finally stopped, the sun has come out, and yeah, I'm hoping to get this up to full charge. We'll be able to use the compressor, everything from our plug sockets here in the workshop instead of dragging out stuff outside. So we'll see you next week. Again, thanks to Fogstar for sending this equipment. Really appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, see you next week. Bye from the Pyrenees.